Hi, everybody, and welcome to Fundraising at CSUN. My name is Chelsea Weisenbaker. I'm the Director of Annual Giving and Donor Engagement here at CSUN.
Hello, Matadors. My name is Jerry DeFelice. I'm the Director of Development for Student Affairs, class of 1999 and class of 02.
So today we're going to talk to you about fundraising for your student club or organization and go through some tips, tricks, and tools that are available to you as students. So let's kick this off.
So I'd like to first start off about why people should give to your organization. And you want to ask these questions to yourself. One, is it the right thing to do? People should give money to your organization. Is it good for taxes, a charitable contribution? Some local businesses will give, but they want business back. And then D, a lot of people think that you can't take it with you. The Egyptians and the Mayans tried to take their treasures with them. And then in a few thousand years, somebody might come digging us up looking for our treasures. And so why should people give? Is it one or more? Is it all of the above? And the answer is basically you just need one reason to connect with folks about why they should give to your club, your organization, your fraternity, or your sorority. So what is fundraising? Basically, it's asking folks for money. Some organizations will ask people to collect dues. Sometimes the fraternities and sororities will collect dues. Also, some clubs and orgs have membership fees. That's fundraising. That's collecting money. It differs from organization to every organization. Some organizations need to fundraise multiple times a year, or maybe just once a year through different events and activities, but it's all different and each year will be different. So what is fundraising? Is it fun, F-U-N, and is it fundraising? I always want students to have fun when they're fundraising, but there are some meaningful ways to fundraise that can generate a lot more income for your organization than other things. Example, a car wash or bake sales, the Girl Scouts, for example, they can raise a lot of money because it's hard to say no to a Girl Scout. But when I'm walking around campus and I see organizations wanting to sell Krispy Kreme donuts, it's easier for me to say no, but you understand what I'm saying. These things take a lot of time, they take a lot of resources, and they take a lot of energy. And sometimes there are a lot of fun activities, but you're not generating enough money to really reach your fundraising goal. So I always want to tell students how important it is to volunteer, but also I want you to be aware that when you're volunteering, it does equal time, it does equal your money. The minimum wage is about $15 an hour. So when your club or organization is getting together and putting on these little fundraisers like the one I showed before that are fun, sometimes you're spending more money with your time than if you would have just donated yourself. We want you to stay in school, get your grades up, to get your academics, and pass your classes and excel in school. But volunteering is important, but also be conscious of the time that you're spending, because before you know it, you've spent a lot of time only to raise a couple $100 when you've had a group of folks spending their time and their valuable resources out there. So think about it. So I get a lot of student organizations that approach me and Chelsea and ask, hey, we have a restaurant in your campus that wants to do a fundraiser. And those are fun. Those are great, but I want you to be aware. I'm not discouraging it. I'm not telling you not to do it, but I want you to be aware when you do a fundraiser at a restaurant, who's really making the money? It's the restaurant that's making the money because you're driving all the customers there and basically you're getting a percentage. I just put 20% up there. But so think about that when you're doing those kinds of things, that you're aware that you're spending a lot of time to inspire and motivate and encourage your fellow alumni and class and students to go to these restaurants. And so you're spending a lot of time. So just be aware of that. Manage your time. So there are different ways to give. And so you can always ask someone who wants to make a check or even a cash donation to CSUN. Basically, you would make the check payable to CSUN and the name of your organization. Actually, all your organizations, they have a link on the website about how someone can make a direct gift to your account. If your account's registered with Associated Students, they can make an online gift using a credit card or a debit card. Also, there are alums out there, and I always tell students that it's important to keep your alumni engaged because I've had fraternities and sororities and alumni members that go back decades who want to leave some of your organizations in their will. And so that's future money for your organization. Also, there are silent auction items. Sometimes you have an event and you can auction items. People want to donate to the organization. That's another way to generate money. There are several ways.
So just like Jerry mentioned, there are some ways that you can raise funds online. And one of those ways is by using a CSUN Funder page. So CSUN Funder is CSUN's signature crowdfunding platform. It's very similar to GoFundMe, Kickstarter, other sites like that. And this was brought on to basically replace the students' use of those programs. The great thing about CSUN Funder and what makes it different from GoFundMe and other sites of that nature is that this is totally free for students to use. You don't get charged a processing fee. Other sites might charge you between 5 and 10% to use their program and for credit card processing. So all of the money that you raise on a CSUN Funder will go directly to your organization. So CSUN Funders are really easy to set up. We basically ask that you give yourself 1 to 3 weeks to get all of your content available before you apply for a page on our website. And if you have, an understanding of what you're fundraising for, who's going to be helping you create your website, your fundraising page, you have your images and a description of, what you're going to be using the money for, then that's a really great start to get your page up and running. How much can a page raise on CSUN Funder? That's another great question. Generally, we recommend that pages with goals between $5,000 and $10,000 tend to be most successful. And that's because these seem very attainable to donors who are looking at your page. And then we also need a fundraising timeline. So we need to understand when you need your funds by, because we need to ensure that you're giving yourself and your team enough time to actually promote the page, send your emails to your aunts and uncles, blast this on your social media sites, have your special fundraising event and market the page long enough so that folks will have the opportunity and the time to get onto your fundraising page and make their donation. So if you're using CSUN Funder, how soon will your club get the money? So your CSUN Funder page is connected to that special foundation account that Jerry was referencing earlier, which is directly connected to the account within your Associated Students fund. The money is transferred from the CSUN Foundation to your AS fund about every 2 weeks, so you will get access to the funds pretty quickly. The types of projects that you can fundraise for using CSUN Funder range from, if you're looking to send a group of your participants to a conference, if your team wants to participate in a competition, if you need new equipment for a department project, if you need to raise money and replace your uniforms, anything that's connected to a CSUN club or organization, a CSUN department project, as long as you have an AS account, as long as the project has a fund within the CSUN Foundation, then we can definitely work with you and give you access to CSUN Funder. So how do you get a CSUN Funder? You go on to csunfunder.csun.edu, and that is the homepage. There's an application link right there at the top, and you can click there and give us all of your information. Some things to know in order to plan ahead. So you definitely want to have a good grasp on what you're fundraising for. You need to understand how much money you need in order to accomplish the goal that you've set for your fundraiser. And we need to know your time frame for when you're going to need that money. And then also it's great to understand who's going to be promoting your fundraising page, how many people you have at your disposal to help you spread the word. So definitely gather your club members, your org members together, figure out, who has a lot of followers on social media, who has large family members, who's done fundraising in the past, and get those people together, share your information with them about what this project is going to be. And then basically they'll be your street team. It's up to them to push the project out, share information about it, and make direct asks and send those emails with the link to your fundraising page so you get donations coming in. All right, so tips and tricks for raising the most money using CSUN Funder. So as I mentioned earlier, you have to be clear what you're fundraising for and why. This is going to help you communicate to your potential donors why it's important for them to support your project and what you're going to do with the money that they give you. We recommend to make a video. So the great thing about CSUN Funder is there's a lot of opportunity to post images about your project and your team members. You can post videos about what you guys have been up to. I definitely recommend posting a video, making a direct ask to the camera. You can just use your iPhone. to the person who's viewing it and say, hey, thanks so much for visiting our page. This is what our project is about. This is why we're asking for your support. Would you please consider making a donation today? We know that pages that have videos on them tend to raise more money than pages that don't have videos. And then share your page widely. It's not enough just to set up your page and let it exist on the internet. You need to be sharing it and making direct asks to your network. So copy your link or your URL into an email and make a personalized ask, send it out to everybody in your family and say, hey, Aunt Sally, I'm working on this project with my club. I'm working on this project with my department. It would really mean a lot to me if you could, kick me $50. You can give right here on the page. It's tax deductible. You'll get an automated tax receipt and you'll really help us reach our goal. Blast your social media accounts. I don't have to tell you how to do that. Just make sure that people understand what you're working on and that it's important to you and that you have, 2 months to raise $5,000 and that if they help you by donating to your page and by sharing it, they'll help you reach your goal. And then the last thing, which is probably the most important, you have to thank your donors. Obviously, if they've donated to your page, that means that you mean a lot to them, that your project means a lot to them. And if they feel appreciated, then they're going to feel good about giving to your project. And this is also really important because let's say you have a week left in your fundraising period and you're maybe 80% to your goal. And you're looking for new ways for people to give and to ask people to help you reach your goal. You can go back to the donors that supported you earlier on. And if they felt like they were engaged with your project and appreciated for giving, you can ask them again, like, hey, I really am so grateful that you donated early on. We're so close to reaching our goal. Would you consider giving a second gift? And donors that feel like they've been appreciated are much more likely to give again.
There are basically 5 components to fundraising. I mean, you can even break these up into several other components, but when I've walked around campus and I've seen so many clubs and orgs doing fundraisers on campus, nothing gives me greater chuckles and giggles to watch broke students asking other broke students for money. In our world, in Chelsea, and in my world, in the world that we work in fundraising, we want to ask people that have money to give money to CSUN. And so when your club, organization, fraternity, sorority is asking students who might be struggling to pay for their rent, pay for their classes, pay for their books and supplies, it might be a challenge to raise money from other students. And so you want to use step 1 as identification. It's kind of like dating. Who can you connect with? And when I say connect, like, who are your fans? Some of your organizations and clubs have been on campus for over 50 years. Some have just started. You might be a brand new organization. So when you're looking for people to support your club and organization, you want to think about people who really care, people who love you as individuals. And so sometimes the answers are right there. Identification could be your own parents. Chelsea said your Aunt Sally, your uncles, your aunts, your grandparents, your neighbors, your alumni. There are so many people that are supporting your organization, from the outside, that you need to reconnect with the alumni and keep them involved. And a lot of clubs and orgs, when they hear the word alumni, they're thinking recent graduates. Well, recent graduates, they were maybe, struggling students. Now they've graduated, they've gotten a job, and now they're working, but they're just trying to make ends meet. When I mean alumni, someone much older, someone who's more established already, someone has money, extra resources and income to support your organization. So identify people that have extra resources to donate. So once you've identified and casted like a big net, using your social media and those opportunities when you have alumni receptions and events to identify folks, and then you qualify them, basically is asking them if they would be interested in supporting your organization. And don't be shy. Sometimes the president or the vice president of the organization might not be the best person to ask. You might have a fundraising chair in your organization, and that person should be fearless and should go out there and be able to ask folks if they would be considering to support the organization. Step 3, the cultivation, is getting to know them. You want to know the individual as best as you can. You want to know who they are. You want to know what they're doing, and if they have an opportunity to get more involved. And once you feel like you've gotten that relationship going and established, step 4 is asking for money. And it's okay to get no's, and we'll talk about that, but there will be some yeses out there. And you can use the CSUN Funder, personal contacts, writing letters. There's so many ways to raise money. And step 5, the committed relationship. They have supported your organization. and you want to say thank you. I always bring this up. There have been so many times where I've opened doors for people and they just walk through and don't even say thank you. And I let it go. I opened the door. I chose to open the door. Well, when you're asking for money for people to support your organization, they do. Make sure you're thanking them on your social media, with a card, with a picture, with something just to acknowledge their giving. So what if they do say no? It's part of the job. I get more no's than yeses, but I keep going. And so we always ask, and don't show your disappointment. We always want to let people know that sometimes it's bad timing. COVID has affected not just the United States, not just CSUN, the whole world. And so some people have had to take their extra resources and support family or support their other ones and loved ones. And so it's okay. Sometimes you catch someone on a bad day, and that's okay. There's other opportunities to come back and ask them to support again. And don't drop them. Just let them know that, hey, invite them to your events, activities. For those who are like in sports clubs, invite them to your games. There might be another opportunity for them to support again. So we're going to drive this home. Thank yous are important, and send a thank you note, social media shout out. Also, you want to respect, some donors want to be anonymous, and that like, hey, here's a donation. And you might want to ask your donor, is it okay to thank you? And they say, no, I prefer to be anonymous, and that's fine. They want to be private, and that's okay. Sometimes donors want to be acknowledged at events, and also folks want to be informed. I was involved in a lot of clubs and organizations when I was a student. And so when I hear what the clubs and orgs that I was involved in, what they're doing today, I feel involved, I feel engaged, and I know. And if they ask me for money, I'm more inclined to support. But for the organizations I haven't heard from in 10 or 20 years, I might not be able to take that extra initiative to support them. Depends. So that's why it's important to always keep your alumni and fans and parents and everybody who loves and cares for your organization to be informed and involved.
All right, so if you have any questions about fundraising for your student club or organization or for any type of project on campus, definitely reach out to myself or Jerry. It's very important to keep the different guidelines for fundraising in place when you're practicing fundraising, when you're going out and asking folks for money. So, check in with annual giving, check in with associated students, check in with the Matador Involvement Center, figure out sort of what the policies and rules are that you need to follow, and stay informed. That's very important. Jerry and I would be absolutely happy to speak with anybody who has questions about fundraising at CSUN, or if you have questions about scholarships or endowments and want to learn more, definitely reach out to Jerry or myself, and we'd be happy to follow up and provide more information to you. And thanks for attending today.
Thank you.